Welcome to the Wing Life Podcast, where we talk about wing foiling and the lifestyles of those who enjoy this great sport. All right, my friend, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Frank and Matt both love Surfr, so it's going to be super cool chatting with you about everything.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was super nice that you reached out and keen to chat about Surfr and more.
Yeah, my first thought is how'd you get into wind, and then how'd you think about starting something in the wind industry? It's pretty cool, and I just wasn't sure how the whole journey started.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, if you live in the Netherlands, then there is a lot of wind there, a lot of storms. I remember that me and my parents, we were when I was a child, we always went to the beach using kites and enjoying the wind. But into kite surfing, that is what I mainly do. I only moved into that let's say 8 years ago through a friend that was just always talking about it, couldn't stop talking about it. And that kind of convinced me that that must be something good. So yeah, that's how I tried it out and how I got into kiteboarding. And I do it super frequently, super fanatic. And I'm kind of sharing my time in between Cape Town, Europe, and Brazil. Currently still in Brazil, by the way, although it's rain season here now. But me and my girlfriend, we are still here because we are also constructing a nice place here in Guru.
Oh, beautiful. I've heard nice things about Brazil. You're building there, so you must like it quite a bit.
Yeah, so for kite surfing, it's absolutely amazing. I would say it's one of the best countries in the world, maybe the best. The wind is super consistent in the season, 6 months long. It blows here every single day. So you can get a lot of kiting in. And it's living close to the beach. Life is not super expensive. I met my girlfriend here as well. So which is why it made total sense to start something in Brazil.
Oh, that's amazing. So how old were you when you started kiting then?
Yeah, I would say my current age minus 7, 8, probably like 25 or something. Might actually be within 7 years, but probably around my 20, between 25 and 27. So not super young. I can jump, I could do some basic stuff, but I'm definitely not a super good kiter myself.
Hey, that's okay. I started windsurfing, I think at 28 or 29, and I'm still working on a lot of stuff. So
yeah.
So,
I heard about it. I mean, I saw it. Like you have quite a story how you went into the sport, right? And there's some accidents bothering you along the way.
Yeah, and then you find a passion, you follow it, and then you don't know where it's going to take you. But I think that's the super fun part about sports. These sports, especially, it brings everybody together. Like, what were you doing work-wise to even consider doing? Like, where did the spark or the idea come to create Surfr?
The spark, I think, was pretty much during a hackathon, which is like kind of a bunch of nerds going together for a weekend somewhere in a nice location. I was one of them. And I was actually the only kiteboarder, but this was within the context of another company. And everybody could do whatever they want to work on. And I was just thinking like, hey, can I do something with kiteboarding? This must have been like around 4 years ago. And I thought, yeah, probably with the phone, we should be able to, it has the same sensors as that other devices that were already on the market have. So it should be possible to measure the height. And that is just how it started. Just in that weekend, I got a feeling that this is possible. I was not even close to anything like working, but at least I thought, hey, this might be possible. I want to spend more time on this. And shortly after that, I actually started spending more time on it.
So at the start, did you start developing yourself, or was it that you had it? Yeah, you did. You started doing all the dev. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a lot of research in the beginning because there is not a lot of documentation about it. I have done computer science, so I know about programming, but there is also a lot of mathematics involved, about how these calculations are done. And there is some various stuff that is really complicated that I didn't know anything about. So I think the first few months I was basically just reading, and watching all kind of content on YouTube. These days you can learn everything online. And I reached out to some people that wrote some papers on these matters, particularly how you can use this sensor data to make the best possible estimation. And yeah, that was a really fun time, because I was just learning a lot. I didn't have a clear goal or a clear ambition. I just was spending my time in a way I liked it. And that is kind of how it started, with very little commercial intentions, just let's do something fun and let's see where it's gonna get me.
So the inspiration was more so that you thought it was possible and that it could be a fun thing to work on.
Yeah, exactly. As a kiteboarder, I was just thinking I've been a programmer my whole professional life, but I wanted to do something with kiteboarding. I actually even considered maybe I should start teaching kiteboarding. I was so super hooked on kiteboarding. I would go, and I'm not a morning person, but I would go put my alarm on 5 o'clock, catch some wind on the beach, go back to work, do my hair in the parking lot and run into a meeting. I was so hooked on kiteboarding, I thought I need to do something with it. And obviously this made the most sense because this was close to my skills. But I considered everything, as long as it was something with kiteboarding, that was important.
I guess that's how this show started too. same kind of process. I'm not good enough to be pro. We got too much love and passion for this. Where do we go with it? And then it's okay, fine, let's do a round table, a bunch of buddies, and start talking about wing foiling. And then boom, so I love that. That's awesome. So when did you, I guess, bring on your first when did you bring on your first developer? Were you working another job, obviously at the time, doing this evenings and weekends kind of thing?
No, right before I really started spending time seriously into this project, I had another company. So together with other people actually, but my part was I sold my part at some point, which gave me a full-time availability. So I started doing this full time. 60, 70, 80 hours per week, because it was just so challenging and it was so much fun that I just started working on this. At that point, I did it just by myself. As I said, I didn't really consider this to become a company. Of course, in the back of your head, you thought it could be, but I wasn't really thinking about hiring people, marketing or anything like that. I was just doing what I liked, which was hacking and developing this app. So yeah, the first version, I basically did all by myself, but shortly after that, Surfr, grew and we hired people for sure.
Okay. No, that's awesome. What was the initial user response, let's say? How did people initially like your app compared to maybe some of the other ones out there?
So the initial idea was basically to put a phone on your board, and it was very specific for kiteboarding. So now it's used in other sports as well, but it was put a phone on your board. And there were people that were excited about that. There were people that were less excited about it because having a phone on your board is also something, So everybody that loves this data and loves to see this was quite excited. In the beginning, it was a big challenge to recognize all the jumps properly, to get accurate heights on different phones, Android versus Apple, and then all these brands that you have within Android. I think the initial response was people were super excited and they felt hey, this can be something really cool. That definitely motivated me a lot to keep going with this project.
Okay, so can you walk us through maybe the phases of the different versions that have come out, and then walk us into what you guys are working on now?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first version, after I basically spent half a year, messing around and making more and more progression, testing a lot myself. That probably took half a year or even a bit more, 8 months or so. And then I pushed it to the public, so to the stores. And I basically just announced it in the Netherlands, pretty much locally. I'm from the Netherlands myself, so that made total sense, And back then we had some active Facebook groups, so people started using it more and more, got more and more feedback in, and I think what became very clear quite quickly already was that this board mounting is fun, but a lot of people are also looking for bringing it on the water just by putting the phone in their wetsuit, or even to use it just on the watch, And so those were kind of the next steps. Support this way of measuring as well. The complexity increased a lot, like, detecting a jump on a board. As you can imagine, maybe when somebody lands on the water, there's always like a big hit from the board on the water. So it's relatively easy to see like when somebody lands. But people that use a watch, for example, it's harder to see because you don't make like a massive impact with your hand in the water when you land. So those challenges were new, and it was super nice to work on. And I think probably around 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, we launched for the Apple Watch. And the Apple Watch has been like the biggest success in that way, that now the single most used device on the Surfr App is the Apple Watch. So there's more people that use an Apple Watch than there's people that use an iPhone for the Surfr App.
The Apple Watch now is the most popular way of using Surfr then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's now the most popular way. I mean, as the moment that I had an Apple Watch myself and I went with it on the water, I realized like this is really it, It's so easy to bring on the water. It has so much potential. And we kind of started adding this into our focus, or maybe even shifting our focus a little bit more towards watch development. And that was a big milestone. And shortly after that, Ali, my partner within the Surfr App by now, he reached out to me and he said like, this is cool. You have it on the Apple Watch. Shall I do it? Shall I bring it to the Galaxy Watch as well? So Android watches. And he basically volunteered for this project because back then and till some extent still now, Surfr, didn't have like unlimited resources and was much more a passion project than a commercial project. So I was really just doing this myself for free, for fun. And people that wanted to help us did it on the same base. So till this very day, Ali and I, we are doing this from passion, motivation, And maybe one day this will be a rewarding project, and that is of course the goal. But first of all, we are just like super passionate about the project, and that's how he reached out to me and he said, I can do this. I cannot pay you. He said, that's all right. And he started doing this whole thing. So, and now we have, an app for the Galaxy Watch as well. And even today we now have an app for the Garmin watch as well. So, and I think that is basically, fast forward till today, is that we support basically every hardware that you can think of. Phone, watches, on your board, in your wetsuits, it's all supported. So people can choose what they want. And that's where we are today, at least.
Okay. Can you walk us through, so if somebody has never heard of Surfr, can you walk us through what just the basics of the app does for them?
Yeah, a good one. So as I sometimes like to explain it to people that have really no idea what this is, or maybe are not even kiteboarders or water sporters, we just like to say that it's kind of the Strava for water sport. So maybe a year ago we would have said the Strava for kiteboarding, but now we would say like the Strava, which is like this big activity tracking app for water sports. So what you can do with it is track your activities, So track where you go. That is like the primary function. How high you jump, which is basically the differentiator from an app like Strava. So with Surfr, you can measure your jumps, which is the main thing people like to do. And beside that, the app is becoming more and more a place for people to find other people. So it's becoming more of a social product as well. And definitely also to find places or discover new places where you want to go on your next trip, on your next kite trip, your next wing foil trip. And Surfr has a lot of information on that. So we basically want to create a home spot for water sporters, where people come not only for tracking their session, but for because there is something that is interesting to them basically every day. So that is, I guess, the goal. And at the moment, the focus is still a lot on activity tracking, which is the primary function and will remain the main function for sure.
Okay. I'm genuinely curious as to how that kind of thing gets developed to track jump and length of time in the air and stuff. Like how, are you able, you don't need to obviously give us the nitty gritty, but gist of it, how long did that, I know you just worked on it for a while, but that's complicated, no?
Yeah, and I'm still doing spending a lot of time on the algorithm development. And if I would accumulate all time that I spent on it, it's probably 400 or 500 days, full days, or if it's not more, on purely the algorithm. That's not anything that you see in the app. It's just like under the hood stuff, and the complicated, with or without the technical details, that is going to make a difference in how to tell this. But without the technical details, I would say there is two challenges. One is using the sensors from your phone to basically always know where your phone is, in terms of orientation. Is it upside down? Is it straight up? Is it tilted a little bit? The 3D orientation of your phone, to track that in an accurate way, that is the first challenge. And to do that, you use the sensors that these devices have, which is a gyroscope and an accelerometer. So that is one of the primary challenges. Because if somebody takes a phone or a watch and starts throwing it around in the air, flipping it around, you still need to know if this phone is upside down or is facing up. You need to know all the time the orientation of the phone in order to be able to track it correctly. So that's a challenge that I spent quite some time on. And the other one, which is a little bit easier to understand if you're non-technical, is the jump detection itself. So somebody leaves the water, somebody comes back to the water, and the most simple idea there is okay, somebody leaves the water, we see some, all of a sudden we see a displacement of the phone or of the watch going up. And somebody comes back to the water, means they hit the water, and you will see some kind of peak that shows this hit, And the harder they land, the easier it is, basically. But yeah, how to deal with people that make a hit with their device mid-air, They flip the board around, they make a fist bump, they wave to somebody, they hit to their phone by accident. So this was the second challenge, how to do a proper jump detection, the beginning and the end of the jumps. And after spending a lot of time on that, I realized this is basically, you cannot really program this stuff, because it's just it's just depends on so many variables, even what kite you are using, what board you are using. Are you riding on waves? Are you riding on flat water? Everything matters, every detail, which eventually made us decide to introduce Surfr AI, which is using artificial intelligence to recognize the jumps. So, and this is a whole different. So we started with this more than a year ago and recorded thousands of jumps with a lot of different people, with a lot of different conditions, a lot of different kites. And we basically start training a model and said hey, this is the data, and here you have some examples. This is a jump. This is how beginning look. This is how an end looks of a jump. And we basically give that like thousands of examples. And after that, we now have like an algorithm that can detect jumps very accurately, very precise. Basically recognizes 100% of your jumps these days. So yeah, it become a
Good for
long
you.
way. It took a lot of effort and a lot of time for sure.
Yeah, I don't doubt. And I guess, did you think when you were starting this that AI would play a role in helping you achieve the success rate that you're at?
Yeah, so everybody that is in software development kind of knows that pattern recognition is one of the main applications of AI. So yes, I always knew that, but it's also a little bit of a scary thing. It's much for a developer. It's much closer to a developer's nature. Like, okay, if I program if this then that, you know exactly what's happening. If you train an AI, you don't know this anymore because the AI make these decisions for you, and you have no idea how it reaches those conclusions. Maybe it looks at totally different things as that you think it's looking at, or at totally different things that you think is important. So it was like an adventurous route, but very quickly turned out to be a rewarding route as well. So we're definitely not going to come back from that. And Surfr is fully committed to using artificial intelligence for this kind of things in the future, for sure.
Okay. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, because there's such a massive push towards it, and everybody is using it for different purposes. But I wouldn't have thought that this would help. But I guess, yeah, that makes complete sense. I was talking to Tom Hartman of the GWA, and he said he partnered with you guys and that you were working with for their like big air contest. Like, how did that come about? That must have been pretty exciting.
Yeah, super exciting. Like the first time I think Surf was only like existing half a year or so, and then the first competition we did was full power Tarifa with the Big Air Kite League in Tarifa. Because this is we are probably gonna talk about it a bit later, but this is one of the cool things about the Surfr App is that you can use this data live. So everything that's being recorded on the water, we can bring it to a live stream. And we can bring it to people at home. So Mike was one of the persons from the Big Air Kite League that was convinced about that, like from the first second. And once we did that competition, I also reached out to the GKA and pitched this whole idea to Tom, indeed, basically Tom and some other people from the GKA. And Tom was also super excited, and he said, "Yeah, let's do it." They were worried as well. They were like, "Yeah. Is this accurate? What are riders going to think? Because do they want to take a phone on the water? And what if the data is wrong on the stream?" And I said, okay, we're going to approach this in such a way that if you don't feel good anywhere during the event, you just can take off this whole thing. And that's kind of how we set it up. And like we started the event and everybody was super happy about it and it worked super well. So at that point, we were not at 100% jump recognition. So sometimes the jump was missed, especially in the hydrofoil disciplines was a bit more challenging for us back then. But everybody was super happy. And since then, we have been doing every big competition with them.
Hey, sweet. That's awesome. And then the biggest part of that is to be able to relay that live, like you were mentioning.
Yeah, exactly. And just to show like the high, the air time, but there's much more stuff that we can potentially show. So we keep on developing the data, and actually with the GKA now for the upcoming competition, Lord of Tramps in Leucate, close to Leucate in Bucharest. We got to bring some new data to the stream as well. That has not been, and also to the riders, even on the water, So that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Are we able to talk about that, or is that something that's going to get released shortly?
No, I think we can talk about it. Otherwise, I will hear from Tom later that it was not. Nah, I'm pretty sure because we've already been doing some of it in a other competition, the Dutch Big Air Championships that was organized by SpaceX Kiteboarding, and they kind of like. Were fully on the same page with us when it comes to like, okay, what do we want for this kiteboarders for this stream, And so there we already experiment with showing heart rate and showing speed on the stream. So by using watches, so somebody makes like a massive maneuver and you can actually see their heart rate going up live on the stream. That was one of the ideas. And we did that already. So people take an Apple Watch with an eSIM in it, and you can start collecting that data. Now with the GKA in this lowest ramp competition, we're actually going to do really cool things for the riders, because the people that are on the water, we are now able to communicate with them. So we can tell them stuff, we can say, hey, like it's now is your turn. So they know exactly when they are supposed to go. We can show them like their timer, like you have 20 seconds to attempt this trick. So the timer will count down on the watch. And as soon as they land it and the judges score that trick, they will even see like, okay, I scored a 7 and I need an 8 to progress to the first place, for example. So we are really bringing more data to the live stream, but also to the riders on the water as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, to create more of like a more inclusive kind of environment for the listener then, because they can watch and just see so many different aspects. That's really cool.
Right. It's like, I remember when we pitched it at Red Bull, we have done the Red Bull Mega Loop in the meanwhile as well. One of the things that we said, like, we basically want to like unmute the live stream. If you watch Formula One, there's so much data on it, and it basically gives you extra ears on what is happening. It's like the same if you turn off your sound, and then you turn it back on, you get this new set of information. And this is with this data as well. And that's what we want to do, bring it to the people so they can, also people that are not familiar with the sport can understand better what is happening. What are we exactly looking at? Okay, height is a thing, speed is a thing. So I think that is really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you're absolutely right about bringing that to different set of ears, because it's such a more, I'm trying to look for the right word, but more like almost like a more comprehensive experience. Like it's just more information for you to take in, and it just makes the experience way more enjoyable for somebody watching. So I'm happy you've been able to do that. And you've worked with some pretty big partners then so far. That's been pretty sweet.
Yeah. So actually the wingfoil competition was in Gran Canaria, right? Yes, it was in Gran Canaria, where last year we were also there. I wasn't personally there, but a colleague was there. So that was kind of our first encounter with wingfoiling in a more serious way. And also made me realize that how high people jump with these wingfoils, because I had seen them foiling in the Netherlands, but never seen them flying like that, And Tom said beforehand to me, like, yeah, they are going to jump like 15 meters. I think they're going to jump 50 meters. I was like, no way that is possible on a wingfoil. And during that competition, I was super surprised. I was here in Brazil, but I was putting my alarm at 3 a.m. to be standby for them. And I was watching the live stream and I was super impressed. And this was one of the main realizations that I thought, like, hey, Surfr is actually relevant for wingfoiling as well. And that is kind of how we started being much more serious about it.
Okay. Yeah. I watched some of that, and I never even thought we'd be getting, because that's like 45 feet. That's crazy. And then the hang time and swell, and the time in air, and how long they travel. And I think Frank sent something. It was like 19 meters or something in travel distance when he was winging. And I was like, come on, man. Like that's huge.
No, it's insane. It's really insane. And then with these waves, how high they can go. And I saw this footage from Christopher McDonald, but there has been more people going super high. And I was really impressed. And also the way they come down, because with windsurfing, people also go pretty high, but it always feels a little bit more like a rough landing, Well, with wingfoiling, people really slow down. So I was super impressed, and I thought, like, this is really cool, and we should do more for it. And that was actually also the moment that we started like training Surfr AI specific with wingfoiling data, so it can recognize these patterns also better.
So what kind of like payment structure and stuff do you have for Surfr? Like, how would somebody get started with it?
Yeah, so it's still, and it's most likely will remain to be mainly free. So anybody can just download the app and take the phone and go to the water and start recording their sessions. And then we have a pro subscription model, which gives you extra features. So you can see extra things. You get personal recommendations on how to improve, how to make progression, and the Apple Watch as well as the Wear OS watch are currently also part of this pro subscription. So in order to be able to track with just a watch and not having to bring your phone, you would have to take this pro subscription as well. So this is kind of the structure how people get into it, and our main business model these days.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Can we name a couple athletes that are using this that you have that you've worked with?
Yes. So I think in every discipline, there's now people, obviously in kiteboarding, there's many people from like the old generation, from the new generation, like everybody. We know everybody because we see them on the competitions, but structural users like Lasse Walker, Phil Fluft, which are kiteboarders, and obviously one of our main ambassadors, Mike McDonald. I don't know if you know him, the one with this mohawk. That he almost lost to a bet, by the way, because one time we had a boost off here and we wanted to bet his mohawk on it. But in the end, he didn't feel comfortable at it. So it was actually with Ruben Lanton was here and Mike and me, and we were putting like large bets on it. But he in the end, he didn't feel comfortable about it. It was good because I outjumped him with 1 centimeter that day. So yeah. But no, those people, and within the wing foiling and the windsurf, I have to say, I don't know so many people by name. I haven't been there personally, but Christopher McDonald is one of the guys and more that I have seen flying around in these competitions and that have been using the Surfr App structurally. Also on the windsurfing, people that have been jumping 10, 12, 13 meters high, So yeah, it's getting used more and more. And the focus has been mainly kiteboarding, but we are kind of, in this year, we definitely want to focus more on wing foiling and windsurfing as well. So yeah, we might get some professional people involved as well that start using it more frequently.
It's kind of cool, when you see a project that was just driven by passion is now starting to grow and get incorporated, and a lot of people are using it, and the connections are growing as well. Like, I love seeing that because I know, and I want to take my hat off because, like, I was in development for a little bit, and it is complicated, and there's always something going. So for you to stick to it and do that just for people to help them enjoy more time on the water, with the goal of, yes, running a successful company, like that's good. Like I'm very impressed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's this last years has been really, really amazing because you get so much positive feedback. I think we really have to see how the future plays out, because if the company grows, you also face new challenges. People that come like with the most exotic devices to your app, like some very niche brand of a phone out of China that is not like working properly, or that has some strange behaviors. Like this can sometimes take a lot of energy, and yeah, sometimes people might not understand how much energy it takes. So I have the feeling that sometimes we are becoming from like just some guys with a passion, we're becoming more and more a company, and that is all very good. But I would really love that people will still see us as like passionate people, and also, talk to us like that. Because when people start thinking like, oh, this is just another company, you get like different interactions. People are not so super nice all the time. They sometimes complain in a very impolite way online or in reviews. And luckily, the vast majority of people is super happy and super excited. But I think this is the main motivation driver to all of us, is when you make other people happy and when you see people appreciate what you do. So luckily, this is still the case. But for sure, we have extra challenges now. We are growing and growing and growing quite fast,
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And we've seen like so far our community has been amazingly supportive just for our show for kind of example, starting from passion as well. And then I don't think people understand the amount of time, dedication, and work that goes into creating any product on your own, and then how much courage it requires to like go out and do those initial first steps, right? Go out and meet businesses, go out and meet people to say, hey, like, do you want to try this? I think this is going to work. So like any kind of entrepreneur that does that, I think it's a class. It's just people that take those risks, and but you're doing it for this whole group of people. So I'm happy that so far that's going well. Have you gotten to see, what are your highlights of places you've been able to see because you've been working on this?
So yeah, I travel around for competitions. Me and my girlfriend, we don't have like a specific place where we live. I would say the closest thing to home is currently Brazil, because here we are constructing a place, and here we spend like all wind season. But I mean, we go around. So for competitions, that can be like anywhere between Denmark, South Africa. Here in Brazil, we have done competitions as well. So those places I keep coming back to, and it's kind of like this with people that follow the wind. They follow the season around the world, Europe, South Africa, Brazil, and we are doing the same because it makes total sense to be close to the action when you're developing something like this.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess it makes the most sense to go to the various different competitions. Are there any coming up in 2024 that you're super stoked about and looking forward to?
I mean, there's a lot of coming up. Not anyone that I think like specifically is more exciting than the other one. Of course, it's super nice that we are gonna do the Red Bull Mega Loop again, and we're also gonna do that with the Apple Watch. So all the riders there are gonna get the Apple Watch Ultra on the wrist, and they will be able to see a lot of stuff, and we will be able to show a lot of stuff in the live stream. So that one is pretty exciting. But all the competitions are really cool. I really hope that one day we can bring a competition together with the Big Hack Kite League back here to Brazil, because it has been here for a few years, but last year it didn't happen. And yeah, since this feels kind of like home, it would be super nice to have a competition here. And I think one of the things that we are considering to do as well, and that is most likely going to happen later this year, is to run our own competition, which would be a competition that everybody can participate, everybody around the world, and it would have like a long window. There will be different formats, and we hope that competition will involve thousands of people around the world. But that is something we're going to organize ourselves, potentially in collaboration with one of our partners.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty sweet. Do you have anything in development for this coming season that you guys are going to release that you're working on? Any updates in the foreseeable future?
Yes. So I think for us, the most important thing now is it's not so much to develop a lot of new features. We still have a lot of ideas, and we are going to do all of them. But Surfr is we are also shifting a little bit of focus onto a bit of marketing and features that are essential for Surfr to be adopted in other markets. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to introduce other languages. So this is what we are currently working on. Soon Surfr you will be able to use the app in Spanish, in Portuguese, in German, in French. So we're going to bring more languages to the Surfr app to increase the usage of the app in countries, in those type of countries. And another thing, it's more like the smaller things, smaller things that we are working on, leaderboards. Like, for example, you were talking about your colleague that shared like, hey, I jumped this and this, and we are making it more easy to share this kind of information. So if you actually jumped high on the leaderboard, you will receive an email about it, and this kind of features we are also working on. But in terms of like really big major developments, there is one, but it's kind of like, it's not like public information yet. But I mean, it doesn't really matter actually. We can on the spot decide to talk about it anyway, because this is like this is a big development that have been working on for a while already. At some point we were able to do the jump tracking on the phone, on the watch, and we are not reaching an end station there, because we can keep improving, but the big challenge there has been tackled already. So we're like, what can we do next? What is possible based on what we have? And what we have in the Surfr app is like a tremendous amount of data from people that people have like been providing into the Surfr app, or that we just have been tracking, like all the sessions. We know a lot based on those data. We know what are good places to kite. We know which places are good to kite to the left. We know what places are good to kite to the right. We know if there's kite schools. We know everything about seasonality on kite spots. And one of the challenges that I personally experienced, but what I also see a lot of people having, is like, what is going to be my next kite destination? What's my next trip? My next wingfoiling destination? So, and you see these questions online, hey, is Tarifa good in April? Or does anybody know a good flat water spot in South America with a kite school, and that has wind in these months? And it's also a super personal thing, because what good wind means to me, somebody else might have a whole different definition of what is good wind. I prefer strong wind, but it doesn't need to blow every day for me. Another person might prefer everyday wind, so he can just practice, and maybe even wants to avoid the strong winds to be able to progress faster. So this type of questions we can basically answer based on all the data that we have. And what we are working on is a website that will make it possible for you to go to. Something like our working name at the moment is like Water Sports World Map or Kite World Map, something like that. And you go to that website and you can say, hey, I'm looking for windy places in September that have a kite school, that have flat water, with a day temperature above 25 degrees. And I want like strong wind 2 out of 5 days, and the rest I don't care, or whatever you want to say. You can provide this input, and then it will present you with what is the best place to go, what are the best countries to go to. And for each of those items, you can then drill down and see, hey, what has been happening in that country? What are people saying? Because we have now around 7,000 written reviews in the Surfr app that people have been writing stuff about the spot. So, we can share this information better. And that is our next big project. And so we hope in the future, if you Google like best kite spots in Colombia, the first hit will be this new kite world map with all information that you need to know about Colombia.
Gathered by the community, built for the community.
Built for the community, inputted by the community, indeed. Like because every time you go somewhere, the Surfr App will ask you questions about the place. This we started doing like 1.5 years ago. We asked people like, hey, was there a restaurant? Is the parking free? What did you think of the spot? So we already asked these questions, and now it's kind of time to bring this information back to the people that have been providing it. So we will also do this for free. It will not be like anything that you need to pay for this website. And hopefully people can use that in their quests for their next adventures.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, good for you guys, because that is like one of my friends runs like a Facebook group of about 7,000 people in Canada, and I think worldwide. He has some other worldwide people on there, and that's their number one thing that everybody is looking at doing now, is just finding out where to go, where to stay, all those kind of steps. So as I have a fly running around. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Nice. Is there anything else about Surfr that you want to share to the community for people who may not use it, or we could even take it one step further for those who are using it? Is there anything else you think they should know?
I think I think not specifically in terms of new developments. I think for many it has already become clear that we are really like focusing more on the watch. And quite recently, we launched a update to the Apple Watch. And the Apple Watch is actually the most advanced watch you can potentially take to the water. A lot of people think like, oh, Garmin watches are the best Garmin watches. And you have a lot of people that are super fanatic about Garmin. But from a technical point of view and like what a watch can do, Apple Watch is like miles ahead of any other watch. And yeah, you can do super cool things with it. We recently launched features for people to be able to chat with the Apple Watch. So you are on the water, you can talk to your friends. Which obviously can help a lot when you're in a problematic situation or you wanna ask for help or anything like that. And other type of features, that we are bringing watches for kind of like an on the water navigation for your downwinder. With kiteboarding, this is a big thing, and with wingfoiling, it also happens a lot, right? The downwinders, although you can even go up with much easier. But yeah, to help people with on the downwinder, tell them like, okay, it's like you're halfway, you still have 20 kilometers to go. The next place that you're gonna arrive at is this and this kite spot. These are the reviews, and we all present that like kind of on the water to the person. So yeah, I think what people should know is that this is an important focus for us. But for all the people that don't have a watch, we will keep pushing the phone development as well, for sure.
Okay, because I know when we were trying to book like this recording, I think you were heavily into dev, so we waited a little while because I think it was Garmin time, and it was just like, yeah, like I completely understand how much dev is consuming, and but yeah, so far, like even just from the two guys on the team here, Frank and Matt, they absolutely love it. And they're always showing and showcasing and stuff what they're doing. And I think in that sense, like it's passion breeds passion. And that's what, in essence, what your community feel for this app is doing. It's bringing you data that you didn't have before, but then you can now share that with your buddies and progress. So I think overall, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think it's thanks to the people that are excited about it, that we are growing. Like we have barely invested anything in marketing, at least not yet, and it's just the people that are important to us, and why obviously we want to have them as happy as possible, because they are telling their friends about it, and this is why it exploded so much in the Netherlands and the countries around it, and now worldwide as well. But for sure, Netherlands and Europe is still like the hotspot of the Surfr App at the moment, at least.
All right, cool. Hey, good to know. Do you have? Is there any wind out your way today? Like, what's the rest of your day looking like?
No, that's not an exciting thing to talk about because it's rain season here in Brazil, and the only reason I'm here is because of our construction, But it's okay. Basically raining every day. Maybe sometimes I kited like a week ago for the last time, but I barely kite anymore at the moment. So, but soon back to Europe, and then hopefully getting some more kiting in.
All right, cool. Hey, sounds good. Well, hey, like, thanks for taking the time out of your schedule to come here and introduce Surfr and talk about some of that functionality. And also it was nice to learn a bit more about you as well. And just, yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Luke, and super nice to have us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for joining in on this one, and we'll chat with you all next time.